Hello, my name is Brady. If this is our first time meeting, forgive the Unabomber-esque background. This is this is my parents' garage, um, with whom I live. I'm 19, and this is going to be a series about how I'm building my own house. If you have been living in a cave, the market for housing is pretty terrible right now. I didn't find it to be feasible to, buy a house. So um, I guess I began exploring alternatives, and I have been in the trades for about 3 years now. Like I said, I'm 19, but I went to a vocational high school. So I got experience there, and I worked under a couple different contractors, and I learned a lot. Um, and I've had my own business now for about a year. So I'm still constantly learning and teaching myself new things, and I just like the flexibility, and schedule that it gives me. I'm sure there might be some people, if this gains any traction in the comments, that would like to think that I shouldn't be working for myself, which is completely understandable. But I'm knowledgeable in my work, and I work safely. I provide a good product to my customers. But that's besides the point. The point of this series is that I would like to demonstrate that you can build a pretty straightforward and simple house by yourself. Um, and I want to try to be transparent about the financial aspect of things, because that would kind of defeat the point if I wasn't. Um, but my overall goal, I would love if this didn't exceed 75,000. That's kind of the cap I've had in my head for a long time, but I would like it to be more around 40 or 50,000 if possible. Um, and that sounds crazy to a lot of people, but I am doing everything myself. I think I'm gonna have somebody trench and attach tap into the sewer for me, and but I might I'm gonna yeah, I'll run all the waste lines in the house, but I'm just gonna have somebody run it from the street um, through to the foundation. I'll have inspections. I might have somebody do some of the electrical, but I the rest is up to me. So I bought a property for $13,000. It was an acre, and it's 1.3 acres. So it's a good space. It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but there is still zoning laws, and there is still building code. Um, so I have to build to a pretty standard uh, code. The house will be kind of a cabin style. It'll have just a crawl space, because I think it's simpler to build, and it's certainly a lot less expensive. And I think, for me personally, it would be easier to build an addition in the future if space is needed, than to build a basement that is well waterproofed and well maintained. Because a lot of the basements that I work in, I find that if they're not very meticulously cared for, they can become disgusting, quite frankly, very quickly. A lot of musty basements, a lot of water infiltration. This is going to be a really tight crawl space. Uh, I'll have a tar bitumen membrane on the outside, and then it'll be encapsulated on the inside. Um, and it'll be 6 foot tall in some places, so it'll be good if I decide to go with the furnace. Basically, what I want to do right now is give a simple lowdown. I think I'm going into too much detail, but basically, it'll have a crawl space. I'm thinking, the floor joists will be 2x12s. I'll put up some pictures of some plans towards the end here, and I can explain more in detail, um, what I'm talking about. But it'll be 2x12 floor joists, 2x6 walls, 2x8 rafters. It'll be a simple gable roof. It'll have kind of an A-frame, 13 and a half, 12 pitch for 3 feet on the front and back, just to give it some dimension. But the rest will be a simple 312 roof. So gutters will be super easy to clean. Lots of natural light, lots of windows. It'll be only 1.5 bath and 1 bedroom. It will be it's just under 1,300 square feet, so it's by current standards quite small. But I didn't want to build a tiny house. That again, I'm straying from the point here, but yeah. So it'll be a pretty simple house. I'm planning to get most of my materials from Menards. I've already begun excavation. I'll put up some pictures later with the blueprints as well, and I can kind of walk you through how I did things. And I want to give a disclaimer that maybe this isn't always the way you should do it. It's just kind of a record of how I did it. And I already off the bat, crawl space and excavating. I'm not a professional excavator. And in retrospect, I probably should have just hired someone to do it. It wouldn't have been that much more expensive. But I had a lot of fun on the machine, and I got a lot done. And I learned, for next time if I ever build another house, which will not be for a while. Um, but I should have used a grade stick to set grade all throughout, but I was kind of just blindly digging. So there are some high and low spots in the crawl space, which it really isn't as bad as I would have expected it to be for doing something so silly as that and not using a grade stick and a grade laser. But I didn't have one at the time. So it's not as bad as I thought. I'll show some pictures now. I will put up how much I've spent as well after this. This will probably be cut up, so some of my ums and ahs will be cut out. But yeah, that's about it, guys. I will continue this and show some pictures and give a narration and tell you what's going on. Okay, thank you.
All right, so here is I'm just going to show a couple of sketches, but this is just this is called a framing cross section drawing. This is just the front of the house right there. So you can see, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It might be a little easier to tell what I mean now when I'm talking about an A-frame in the front. There'll be 3 feet where it's just basically rafters that go from the floor up to the what's called a ridge beam, which carries the weight and load of your rafters. Just kind of to give it some shape, because you can see it's a pretty boxy, straightforward house. The room on the left side there, that's only 1 story, that'll be the laundry room closest to that window, and then beside that is a half bathroom, and then on the far end is the dining room area. But yeah, pretty straightforward. 2x6 framing, 2x12 floor joists. That window right beside the front door, that's going to be that might be a slightly different size, but that's going to be like a nice bay window, like a little reading nook where you can sit and read a book and look out the window. But yeah. Okay, you guys got to forgive me. This is super crude, but this iPhone, this is my old phone. I just switched phones like a couple weeks ago. This thing's a piece of junk. I cannot do anything with it. So I'm recording my old phone with my new phone. But this is one of the first pictures I took on the property. A lot of this stuff is cleaned up now. I think I mentioned before, this was just like a dumping area for this old contractor dude. That is where the house is now. I'll show you some pictures of me digging it out. But yeah, it was pretty. There was never a house there, never really anything there. The neighbors told me that they used it to scrap cars in, which is, can't change it. But neighbors are all very nice. He had a bunch of tires that were still there from when he scrapped cars, but he took them and hauled them all away for me, which was really nice. I didn't even ask him to, but nice people, good neighbors to have. I'll show you some more pictures. Here is when I first started digging. I was way in over my head. I had no idea what I was doing. I'm lucky that it turned out even close to being fine, but I was in the trench with that Mini X. A lot of this stuff right there, it's still kind of there. I just kind of drove over it and compacted it so many times because I was so frustrated. I started just ramping that thing up the hill. But it worked, I know next time I would definitely probably get a different piece of equipment. Um, but yeah, I just got in there, started digging. I had it for a week, and I just went crazy on it. I moved a lot of the concrete and asphalt chunks that I showed before, but a lot of it was just figuring out how to dig a big old hole. I didn't over dig it enough. Usually when you build a house, you want to over dig the size of your house like 3 or 4 feet so you have room to work. I didn't do that, so hopefully I don't regret that later. But you know, this is my first time building a whole house by myself. I've built houses on like a volunteer kind of basis, and when I went to trade school. Um, but we'll see how it goes. Um, yeah, so I'll show you another picture of when it's almost done. Here's where you can see I kind of started getting the hang of it, and I was kind of just angrily driving over it over and over again until it, it became compacted enough. I didn't want a big hump in the middle and have to work around, having obstructions in the middle. Um, but yeah, that's what I got. And this is kind of where I left it. I think I got a skid loader after this because you can see there's huge piles of stuff on the side there. So I used a skid loader and dragged some of it away because I was just gonna cry if stuff started falling in the trench and making my job hard. But this is about what it is now. Uh, it took me, I think, probably 2 days to dig this out, and then the rest of the time I spent trying to get rid of some of that junk. Um, but yeah, I got it done. Uh, again, if I could do this again, I think I probably would have hired someone to do it, but um, it worked and it was a lot of fun. All right, y'all. Here I am. I'm gonna go over the costs that I have so far, and we will total them up together. You can see the boys in Nirvana in the back. That's some edgy stuff right there. I got that when I was probably 16, but still good band. Um, so, so far this is all just foundation stuff. As far as foundation materials go, I decided it would be best if I just bought everything from the store. I bought it from Menards. I love Menards. There's some Menards haters out there, and I get it. I don't think it's kind of strange when you can go buy a toilet and also fruit snacks, but I like it. I like it. Sometimes you need both at the same time. Um, I can't blame anybody. So, form boards and rebar. This was with delivery. Honestly, I don't remember how much exactly the delivery was. They just have some dude that's subcontracted out by Menards, and he delivers the stuff on this. It was really cool. It was like a big flatbed truck, and it had. Usually, they'll have like a forklift that sits on the back, and they'll get the forklift off and move stuff around with it. But he had like a big crane thing that he used. It was really neat. Form boards and rebar, that was 1,150. The form boards I'm talking about, you'll see in the future, they're 2x12 lumber, so I can make some nice strong forms. But I'm going to be reusing those for headers. Headers are what go over your window and door openings. It disperses the load that would regularly be transferred through the studs. But instead you have an opening, so you need it's like a big piece of wood to transfer that over that opening, if that makes sense. But I'm going to use those form boards as headers, and I'm also going to use them as rim joists. Rim joists are the joists that go outside your joists that run this way. So if I had joists that were running this way throughout the floor, my rim joist would be the edge board, if you want to think of it like that. And then anything that doesn't get used as headers or rim joists, unfortunately, I didn't think to order a long enough length to use them as floor joists, regular floor joists that will run this way, because they won't land. They won't be long enough to land on my piers that will hold up the end underneath here. So if there's any left over, I'm going to cut them down and use them as 2x6 exterior studs, and then I'm going to use the remainder of the board and cut them down to 2x4 widths to use as
interior studs, or I might just use them as blocking. They'll get used. I can 100% guarantee you everyone's going to get used. Um, the skid loader and mini excavator was $1,450, and I think that's off by $20.20 because that company I paid in cash. This whole build is going to be paid in cash. They sent me a bill for the sales tax. I didn't get an invoice when it came to deliver the skid loader, so I got an invoice for $20.20. So I was close. Foundation pin 2x4s. I just bought a stack of 24 2x4s. You'll see in the future. So the form boards are like this, and they're gonna hold concrete in between them. So these 2x4s, I bought a stack of 24. They'll sit behind the form boards like this, and they're pounded into the ground a couple inches deep, so that the form boards won't bust open when the heavy concrete is sitting in them. That was $110, and then I bought a Maddox, and I bought furring strips, which are just little thin strips of wood that'll be used between the form boards, so that the rebar that connects, there's going to be rebar running this way inside the footers, and there's also going to be a rebar running up like this. So I'll have a board right here, and then any vertical rebar that comes through will go through a drilled hole in that board that's running across like this, just to help stabilize it as the concrete's being poured. And then I bought a couple metal cutting tools. I don't have power out there right now, so I bought a hacksaw, and I have a battery powered angle grinder, but I had to buy a blade for that as well. That was $91. I'm gonna total that up, and I might just freeze my face, and we'll get a grand total because I don't have one written out here. So, all right, numbers have been crunched. I want to cry because I haven't done that in a while. The total with the land is $15,801. That's what I got in it so far. I'm gonna buy some more stuff soon. I have to buy the cinder blocks for the foundation, and then I'll start framing this winter. That'll mostly be when that takes place, but I have to make the money before I can spend it. So, all right, guys, that's it for this video, I believe. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.